Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Welcome to the August 25th Planning Board meeting. First on the agenda is DPL Realty, 102 Glenita Avenue. It's here for a public hearing tonight. Mike?
This is on for public hearing. I have no comments on this.
Right, and Rich, I don't believe you did, or Pat, right?
No comments on for public hearing. All engineering comments and I believe planning comments have been addressed.
Is anyone here from the audience like to be heard on this topic?
Mr. Chairman, being there's no comment from the public, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll ask Pat to prepare a resolution for the next meeting.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Hirsch Stacy, 311 Drewville Road, also for a public hearing. I know the legal notices were sent out. Good evening. I don't believe Mike, Pat, or Rich had any comments. Again, is anyone from the audience want to be heard on Hirsch Stacy, 311 Drewville Road?
Mr. Chairman, as there are no comments from the public, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll also ask Pat to prepare a resolution for the next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice evening.
You too.
Third on tonight's agenda is Binns Family Trust, 5 Vesey Lane South, site plan review. Mike, I believe you did have some comments on this.
I did. The 1998 approved site plan shows the front building as a one-family dwelling. Now it's a two-family dwelling. I was wondering if you could clarify that. And if it's not clarifiable, then they're going to need to, is that a good word? They're going to need to get a use variance for the two-family. Provide a list of all previous variances granted and or denied by the ZBA. They gave it as a list, just put it on the map. Okay. Approved, approved, approved. Oh. It was a little confusing because some of them were done over and over again, and that's why my next memo you'll see. Variances are required for lot depth and rear yard. The lot area variance was already granted in the past, so it doesn't have to get another another lot area variance. And can the 25-foot right-of-way or the 15-foot, this is the question for Joe, the right-of-ways be blocked by parking of cars? I just want to make sure that it's not a problem that the cars are parked in that location.
This is the easement that we talked about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I sent you the easement.
Yes, and the answer is yes. Knowing that if NYSEG comes along and wants to get at what's underneath, they're going to get at what's underneath, but apparently, historically, they have not.
Correct, and as I mentioned the last time, the entire easement is paved all the way up Vesey
Right.
Lane, across Route 6, Vesey Lane North, and down Y Street, Muscoot North. It's all paved.
Yeah, so if they were going to access that easement, it would be a large undertaking that would affect a number of properties, including this one. So I don't have an issue with respect to parking on the right-of-way.
Just to put the planning board's mind at ease, there are manholes so that they can pull the wire if they have to without having to pull up the blacktop.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's fine. And just one more comment. Pre-existing non-conforming should be pulled off the zoning table because it's not. That's existing, but not pre-existing non-conforming.
Okay.
Rich?
The applicant has noted referrals to the Mahopac Fire Department and has forwarded the information. I believe a permit from New York State DEC is required for stormwater. I didn't see the area of disturbance. However, the applicant did provide erosion control sediment measures and provided storm tech units to control stormwater runoff from the new building. The applicant should note that a performance bond associated with the engineering field is minimally required for those features that are added, most of the erosion sediment control and drainage features as driven by the code. And the applicant has noted the need, if necessary, for a stormwater maintenance agreement.
Questions from the board? Pat didn't have any comments. Oh, no, Pat did have a few comments. He has half a dozen. So, Rich, you want to read him Pat's comments?
Do you have a copy of them? Because I don't. I didn't know he was not going to be here. I apologize.
Anthony's got it.
Okay, These are the comments from Pat. The applicant has responded to the initial site plan review comments as follows. Zoning compliance summary chart has been updated. The proposed structure is a single-family supporting a storage use for all county pest control. The originally submitted site plan drawing has been simplified by breaking it into several drawings depicting existing and proposed conditions, a lighting plan, parking plan, vehicle movement plan, and elevations. The vehicle template size should be noted on the vehicle movement diagram. One vehicle movement pinch point is noted in front of the two-story frame office, which may necessitate the relocation of a wood tie curb subject to the town engineer's review. The lighting plan is acceptable and should indicate if any lighting is proposed at the rear of the new building along the southern property line. The dimensions of the parking spaces have been added to the plan, which demonstrates compliance. The applicant has submitted the New York telephone easement. We already talked about that. Stormwater runoff from the new building will be collected in the surface storm tech units, reviewed by the town engineer if required. The applicant has clarified that the new building will only be served by electrical service. No other utilities connected are proposed. And lastly, the applicant has indicated that minor grading will be required. Any proposed grading should be graphically depicted on the site plan.
Joe, would you like to respond to some of Pat's comments?
Yes, I think every one of those comments basically says that I did what he asked. The other thing as far as the grading is concerned, if you look at the plan, I think you'll see that we show the regrading that Pat was talking about. It's on the site plan.
Right, he brought up the regrading. Yes, some of them he did confirm. The lighting plan is acceptable.
What about the stormwater runoff? Have you submitted anything to Rich to review?
Of course, I think Rich mentioned it as part of his report.
They're going to capture and treat stormwater in storm tech units, subsurface infiltrators. So they did identify that, and they did use it. And Pat noted it in his comments.
And also, we also, in the, as I said, we broke down the site plan into 3 different plans so that we have all the details for the storm tech units also.
That was something we asked for because it was very confusing to look at the plan. There was too much on one plan.
Too much
so-
in the small.
Right, so
Correct,
what
so
we
we put
did
it on
now,
multiple
there's now
plans.
4 separate plans, excuse me.
Joe, one comment that
Go
I
ahead.
pointed out was he referred to that pinch point is noted in front of the two-story frame office. Would you point that out for the
Oh,
board
sure.
on the drawing so we can see that?
This is Vesey Lane South. And another comment was brought up from the original comments was, and we got a letter from the highway superintendent that Vesey Lane South is a town road and maintained by the town. This is the new building that we're proposing. This is the residence, and this is the office building that Pat was talking about.
Saying the pinch point
Yeah,
that
where's
Pat
the
was
pinch point?
referring to
Say it again?
was, where is that?
Can you
In front of
point
the
out the pinch point?
In front of the two-story frame office.
Oh, I see what he's
He's
talking
talking
about.
about,
Yeah,
on
there's
Wood
there-
Curb
there's
on the
there's
Ashby.
there's some railroad tie steps there which we will replace, of course. They're not in the best of condition.
One question, will the new building have a restroom?
No, there's one of the questions that came up was the only thing that's going in there is electric. There's no plumbing at all, and it's getting just for storage.
Can we see a picture of the building, what it's
Sure.
going to look like?
Yep.
For the audience also.
Yeah, of course I have it for both.
And can you take us through what the building materials will be, please?
Sure.
Since we serve as the Architecture Review Board also.
Absolutely. It's basically a pre-engineered steel building, and with vertical, a siding here, garage doors, and there'll be a man door at each of the garage doors and windows, of course, and basically a standing seam metal roof.
Are there interior partitions between the bays?
Yes, there'll be 2, as you can see from the plan here, there's petitions, 1, 2, 3, 4 petitions altogether. And if you recall, if you've been out to the site, right behind us, about 10 feet from this building, is another pre-engineered steel building from the next property owner, which towers over this probably about, I'm going to guess, at least 6, 7 feet higher than our building.
What's the height of that building, Charlie?
The height of this building, basically, you're permitted to have up to 35 feet. At the line where you measure the height, it's 23 feet, 8 inches.
23 feet?
23, 8 inches, yeah. And as I mentioned, building beyond us is quite a bit higher, towers over us.
Questions from
And
everyone
when we
else?
get to the point of public hearing, we'll have color samples and all that, of course.
So the only windows are in the front, right? There's none in the back?
Yeah,
Not-
in the back,
nothing on the roof?
again, the other building is so close, it wouldn't make any sense to have windows back there.
There are no passage doors from bay to bay, right?
No, no, each individual storage area is,
Would that be sprinkled?
pardon?
Will there be a sprinkler system in that building?
No. It's not, I don't believe it's required.
Not required, depending on what you keep inside there.
Yeah,
And as long as it's not above the quantity allowed, then you don't have to sprinkle it.
right.
And certain things you can't sprinkle because you don't want chemicals getting,
Sure. Yeah.
traveling.
So for, when you get to the planning board, if you get to, when you get to the open meeting,
The public hearing, yes.
public hearing, I would like to see more on the details that you just mentioned.
Oh, no, we will have, in fact, what we'll do is,
Some of the neighbors might have some comments on that, and, you know.
no, what we'll do is if we did to the similar building that Dave Nichols had, we'll have actually a color drawing, so
That'd be
that,
nice. That'd be
I
nice.
think that'll be
I
good for
think it's the
the,
right thing for the public, although it's a small area there, family. Anything
So-
else?
so basically, Mike has listed the variants that were required, so if we could get referred to the zoning board.
Otherwise, we need a motion to deny to the ZBA?
I'll make a motion to deny the applicant to the zoning board.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Figured it out. Thank you, Joe.
thank you very much. Have a great rest of the weekend and have a good Labor Day weekend.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Fonte subdivision, 419 Union Valley Road, sketch plan for 2 lots. Mike?
Good evening, everybody. I'm William Besherat, representing Jack. Jack happened to get sick today, and he has a very bad sinus infection, so he asked me to come and stand up for him.
Thank you.
So if I sound a little ignorant, just excuse me a little bit.
We'll help you through it.
Thank you.
Mike?
He's asking us to go easy on him.
That's it, please.
The existing lot, Lot 2, with the existing house, now needs a 288 variance as the frontage now belongs to Lot 1. They're chopping it front to back, so they don't have any frontage on the existing one. Variance is required for the lot depth line that exits and re-enters the lot, and provide easement for the review by the attorney for the house first on the right. Not part of the subdivision, it was
Mike, we
previously.
discussed needs a 280A, I think, at the last meeting, but can you refresh the audience what that means?
Yep. The lot itself had frontage, 100 and something feet of frontage on Union Valley Road. They cut off the back of the lot, which is the existing house. So the existing house needs 288 because it no longer has frontage. Now, if you did it the other way and made a lot that doesn't have frontage, the new lot would have to get open development from the town board, just clarifying that I'm right. And that approval comes from the town board, as I said, they're the only ones that can give that, but the 288 is because that house exists already that way.
Thank you. Rich, comments, please?
So the applicant should provide a separate subdivision plan. They wrote back, it's noted that it would be provided in the preliminary plan submission. I believe that they should be providing that now so that the board and we can review it. They've noted that the frontage variance was required. Applicant noted that the driveway maintenance agreements between the various lots would be provided in the preliminary plan submission. The steep slope analysis must be provided in color as it's hard to read. Applicant noted that the drawing was provided, but it was still in black and white, and it appears that the proposed house is in areas with slopes at or greater than 35%, and this may not meet New York State criteria with regards to stormwater. The board should note the drawing does not contain information regarding areas proposed to be reserved for open space. Applicant noted that this will be discussed with the board prior to preliminary plan approval. As the subdivision plans are refined, all the elements missing in section 131.13 will need to be incorporated into the project's design plans. Applicant noted that the referrals, with the exception to the referrals to the various agencies, would be required with the exception of the New York State DEC and DEP. Additional information should be provided to support these comments. Applicant noted that permits required from New York State for stormwater and Putnam County for well and septic, but not ECB or DEP. And so we need to, he needs to provide additional information for that. The applicant, the project will need to seek stormwater coverage under the general permit. And applicant noted the need for either performance bond, associated engineering fee, and/or a stormwater bond and maintenance agreement if necessary.
Thanks, Rich, and Anthony's going to read Pat's comments.
Okay. The applicant has responded to the initial site plan review comments as follows. The applicant has indicated they will seek a 280A open development form, the town board, for the creation of the landlocked parcel. This should be noted on the plans. The required lot width variance is now noted on the plan. The applicant has indicated they are unwilling to relocate the proposed home to a less constrained location because they wish to take advantage of the view of the pond and to set the home into the slope to create a walkout basement. Water wells setbacks have been added to the plans. The applicant has indicated that the amount of tree removal is minimal and is requesting a waiver of the tree plan. The driveway easement requires review by the planning board attorney, and the applicant has indicated there are no wetlands surrounding the ponds, and the nearest disturbance is 200 feet from the edge of the pond, so the ECB approval would not be required. The wetland inspector should determine if any documentation is required to justify the claim that no wetlands are present.
Joe, have you looked at the, one of Pat's comments says the driveway easement requires review by the planning board attorney. Have you looked at that? What about,
I haven't received anything.
I went up there a month or so ago when this first came. Is that house on the right when you go up the driveway, any part of this at all? I don't hear that mentioned. That's just a separate?
Yes, that house has frontage on Union Valley,
Yeah.
but doesn't use it. They gain access off of the driveway that goes before the fence, the gate, just before the gate. That's where they gain their access.
So the road that I turned off of Union Valley Road
Correct.
goes up, the main house here is in the back, the
Correct.
gate, the house on the right, so it's an easement for them for that driveway?
That's what I asked for,
Okay.
because there is no easement here. Apparently they have it. I don't know if it's been submitted. I did not see it, did you?
Willie, do you know if you submitted?
No, I don't know. I can't answer that question. This is something that this was not in my discussion with him today in regard to this, so I wasn't aware of that.
But wouldn't it have to be an extension of that easement to get to this new house that they want to put up?
No, that's theirs.
It's within the property.
Right.
If you look at the map, the Union Valley, straight back, that leg is part of this lot, okay? So this lot has their own access,
Right, it has a gate to go in, right?
but from the gate all the way forward is all part of this lot.
But,
So the easement is to the people before them. I don't know the name, and I don't mean to do that. On the right side, they gain access from Fonte's driveway.
all right, so what I'm asking you is from the gate back
Yep.
towards the houses, is that part of lot 1 or lot 2?
Both. It starts out as the front lot, and it turns into the back lot.
Okay, so one of the parts parcels of property need an easement to go over the other part? 'Cause
Yes.
what if you want to sell one of them?
Yes, they will need that.
That's what I mean.
And that will be part of the requirement for the 280A.
Okay.
That is something that they do not grant without having all of that in line.
All right. Just wanted to.
You can't, well, I shouldn't say you can't, you shouldn't,
Yeah.
for the reason you just said.
Right, and in my memo, it was noted that with regards to the easements, or at least driveway maintenance agreement, they would be provided in the preliminary plan submission, so I don't think anybody's received it, which I think we've already agreed on that. I do have a comment, though, about the wetlands inspecting, as being the wetlands inspector here in town. I'm not going out to tell them where their wetlands are. They need to have them delineated, and I go and confirm it. So, that needs to just be clarified for the board and clarified for the applicant.
It was a comment I had, Rich, that I was going to follow, so appreciate you saying that.
No problem.
So you
That's,
have, you're
but
gonna have
that's,
that,
yeah,
that's
that's
a
proper,
deliverable, you're
yeah,
gonna have to
that's no
provide that.
problem. I see that.
Willie, Anthony and I were just discussing also that we're not overly thrilled with the tree removal is minimal. We want a little bit more clarity on that. I don't know what that means, that there's hundreds of trees out there. Is it, 10% of 100, or?
So you want to quantify the number of the
Within reason,
trees,
yeah,
or do you
'cause-
want an actual, each individual tree marked up, which one has to be?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do a tree plan for the area that you're going to be actually disturbing. This way they know exactly how many trees it is. It's not that huge. They're not disturbing 10 acres. It's a small piece of it that they're going to be disturbing.
And if it's truly minimal, then it's not a problem. Just say,
Correct.
these 10 trees are coming down.
Just so we have something for the record.
As opposed to clearing the lot.
I understand that. Yeah, I know I tell my clients most of the time, why would you want to clear most of the lot? There's just more lawn for you to cut, useless lawns. You want to keep the minimum amount of leave the trees instead of you going back and planting trees. All right, that's understood, but is it, should I ask to be
No.
referred to the zoning board?
No, there's too many, not only are there too many
Too many-
comments, there's
the
too many
wetlands has to be
important.
addressed in the
Yeah,
tree plan.
there's too many important comments.
Okay, so those comments that has to be addressed first, and we have to come back again.
And you can get a set of these comments from Rose.
Oh, yeah,
Jack,
that's.
kind of-
Well, plus, Willie, the comments we just made tonight, too, so they weren't documented in the memos that you're going to receive, but we talked about, Mike mentioned the tree removal plan for the area, wetlands need to be delineated, I mean, those things, not in any of the memos we have, so you need to make sure that they get addressed also.
Okay, I have the wetland delineation, and I have the tree map, we're gonna call it, just for the area of
Disturbed.
removal.
I mean,
Okay.
that's up to the board, but that's what I think would be fair.
I think that makes sense, considering it's a huge lot, there's no reason to
Yeah.
locate trees that we're not gonna
Correct, but
even
if
near them.
if there's any significant trees right there.
Okay, and the other issues that you were talking about are in the comments that Jack has addressed back, saying that he will be addressing a lot of stuff at the preliminary, not at this stage, but I'm not sure what's your stand on, the consultants in general on that, if you want him to address it or not. I guess we'll discuss it with him tomorrow. Hopefully, he feels good enough to.
The subdivision ordinance tells you which sections you have to do for which step you are in. So if he does up to sketch, then he's okay for sketch. If he's doing up to preliminary, he's got to do up to preliminary. It's all spelled out. It's not, we don't make this
Okay.
up. It's out of the code.
Sounds good to
Will
me.
you also add, that if you didn't already capture it, the driveway easement?
Yes, the driveway easement, I think it's a given. It has to be, I mean, there's three houses being served by this driveway. It has to be very spelled out who's right to what on this driveway. And I think from past experience, this really comes later on. It will be given, okay, it should be delineated and shown where it is to show that there will be no encroachment on septic system. As this considering this driveway, I mean, easements, you cannot construct anything in them. But the final driveway, I mean, the final easement will have to be filed, what have you, so it should be towards the end when everything is cleared and this is 100% where it's going to be, then the easement will be drawn by the surveyor and filed with the county.
I
Joe, you
agree
okay
with
that?
oh,
I'm sorry. Joe, Mike, are you?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. As long as if the code says it has to be for preliminary, then it has to be for preliminary.
Exactly.
So read the code, the subdivision
I think
law.
it has to be shown for the preliminary, but not the final detail and the wording of the easement, how it's gonna be,
Take a look at the code and make sure
I
that's
will,
all.
okay. I'll discuss it with Jack on that. All right. You have a nice weekend.
too.
enjoy the upcoming holiday, and say goodbye to the summer,
Yeah.
which
Thank
was
you, Willie.
crazy this year, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Woody.
There's somebody sitting there.
Next on the agenda is Yankee Development, extension of preliminary subdivision approval. If not Yankee Development, following Yankee Development is MCSS Self-Storage, waiver of site plan application. Bob, would you mind looking out in the hall?
Yeah, I'll
So you, just to see if anyone's outside having a cigarette or outside talking on a cell phone.
I did not see either of them, but it doesn't mean they're not out there.
Yeah, no, public hearing, so they go open and close.
Sorry? No.
That would be Joe.
Sure.
Who's representing them?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll give him a minute, and if no one shows, we're gonna hold him over.
We could have a reading of the minutes.
We're gonna hold over the minutes, and minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Surprised he's not here.
Anyone outside? Okay, we're gonna hold, thanks, Joe, we're gonna hold, both Yankee Development and MCSS Self-Storage over to the next meeting, since there's no representation here. Also, we did not, distribute the minutes, so we're gonna hold over the minutes of, July 28th, 2021. With that being said, do I have a motion from anyone to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I move to adjourn?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.